SMT Nation, we back. Nation, there's an article from AndroidAuthority.com that's worth your considerations to read. I went through it a lot and combed through some of the details. It's pretty good. It's kind of a trip down memory lane of sorts. But really, what it focuses on is what T-Mobile has become, and that's what I want to talk about here as the inspiration to this video. A link for the article from Andrew will be provided. It's down in the description. Ways to support us can be found there as well. Please do like and share this video. Subscribe if you're new here, and turn on the bell notifications icon to never miss an upload from the SMT. All right, so initially in the kind of the early part of the article, it talks about, how the wireless carriers were in the 2010s, so from like 2010 to 2020. And it was a decade that was filled with dominance from Verizon. AT&T as well. Obviously, they were the wireline home internet company, so, people were obviously drawn to their bundled packages. Sprint really was de-emphasized after that extreme weakness in the 2000s and that whole flop Nextel merger. T-Mobile was just a small, basically an upstart company. John Legere comes in and gets disruptive. The magenta color, the long hair, targeting, his aggression towards carriers like Verizon and AT&T, which of course is ironic because he worked for AT&T. But that's what really the uncarrier was about. It was about disrupting. It was about being uncarrier. All the things that the big guys were doing, T-Mobile wouldn't do, right? So getting rid of contracts, getting rid of, fees and providing service at, affordable levels and giving people an option and all those types of things. But then the merger happened in 2020. And since that time, we've seen, T-Mobile basically make a complete 180. And, in some ways it was pretty abrupt. They laid off tens of thousands of employees. They got rid of a lot of the uncarrier philosophies. So instead of removing customer pain points, which is what the uncarrier was all about, tax and fees, Netflix on us, right? Giving customers more, and then, making it easier on customers. They started making it harder, right? So adding fees, increasing pricing, trying to change their plans. That's what T-Mobile has been for the last several years. At least since the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. One of the things that I think is most telling is, the phone upgrades thing, which the article talks about. Like, you got to be on Go 5G Plus or Go 5G Next in order to get the best deal on phones. The old T-Mobile company would have never have done that. It violated their principles and philosophies of being the uncarrier because that creates a customer pain point. You can't get the best deal on a phone unless you're on our most expensive plan. So this article kind of goes in on all those different things. They talk about the violation of Price Lock 2.0. They talk about, the bill credit things changing with the phone purchasing and all those types of things. And I say all that to then kind of circle around to this. Anybody who's been on my channel watching my content for the last several years has a well-documented catalog of videos highlighting all these changes that have happened over time. It's always the straw that breaks the camel's back. There's 1,000 straws that come before it, though, right? Like, it's been this way for the last several years, right? Since the merger, they have systematically, progressively, sequentially changed their methodologies and philosophies. Again, without John Legere, with Mike Sievert now as the CEO, they just have a different identity. They've tried to hold on to the whole uncarrier nomenclature, but you can call yourself anything. But if you walk like a duck and quack like a duck, it's a damn duck. You know what I mean? To shout out to Terrell Owens, right? So, you could say whatever you want, but I think when you see an article like this and why I chose to cover this is I think people are starting to come around to the concept that the T-Mobile of today is just different. They really are emphasizing margins. They want to be profitable. They've got a lot of things they want to do from the corporate side, and they know they can't do that simply doing uncarrier things. It just can't be done. So they've obviously changed their identity. A lot of that uncarrier DNA has kind of been eliminated from the bloodline, if you will. and now they basically just become another one of the big guys, right? They're just like Verizon used to be, and they're just like how AT&T used to be. And there's some things at AT&T that are actually uncarrier, like giving all customers the same deals on upgrades, right? Regardless, entry level plan or premium plan, doesn't matter. Like T-Mobile doesn't do that. Verizon is now giving people discounts on streaming services on their home internet, which they never would have done in the past, and T-Mobile doesn't do now, but Verizon does it, right? So like we're seeing those carriers become a little bit more uncarrier, and the uncarrier has become more carrier. Articles like this are kind of highlighting those changes in the industry. So an interesting read, and I think worth your considerations to check out. Again, if you've been on my channel watching my content, you've seen this all play out. It's not new to you. For some people, I think the realization might be setting in. And I think now, with articles being published on it, I think the legacy T-Mobile customer is starting to realize this, right? The first 60, 70, 80 million customers at T-Mobile are able to now see this and identify it. It's not the same company. And it's just a realization I think people have to come to grasp with, So what do you guys think about this? And make sure you check out the article and kind of see some of those things in there. But comment down below. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.